Hello, good morning, traders. It's Thursday, November 4th, 2021. I'm in Kandy, Sri Lanka, and I'm just going over a pre-market breakdown. I am looking at gold right now. I'm going to go over GBP AUD, then we're going to go to the other broker, switch over, go over Eurgbp, and we can also take a look at Gbp today. So let's get started with gold. Right now, you can see since the end of the day yesterday, the market has been pretty bullish. It was actually climbing up to retest the most recent decline that it had yesterday, and that is what we are currently going to trade the order flow of. Since the market opened today, from Asian Australian session until now, we can see that it's been consolidating majority of the time. So I'm looking at this range right here and looking for a breakout out of this range as we get into London. This is not a sustainable range, so I wouldn't really rely on taking any trades until this range is broken. Once this range is broken, you could either successfully go for a long to the upside and retest it for about 49 pips. It's not that much, so, or about 65 pips. It's not that much for gold, so it's not a desirable move, but to complete the counter move, that's where I would take the price. Now, to get back into trend, as of yesterday, I will wait for a break of the range towards the downside and look for some entries all the way. Now, for the continuation of the trend, for the next day, I'm looking at a break below 1763. We can see further downside after that. So, one last time, step by step, price is currently trending up. As of right now, we see that the market just reached new lows. This is indicating that I have to close out of my gold trades as of now. That's what I'm going to do. Simply close out of gold, and I'm going to open up sells in the opposite direction, because as we can see now, it's breaking out towards the downside out of this direction. So this is triggering a bunch of shorts. This is triggering a bunch of orders to come into the market, and as you can see, price is driving down. What's the most desirable for me is to see a closure below this low, because then I can successfully paint a stop loss a few pips above the highs of 1779 and ride it from there. But definitely, as of right now, since there is no closure, I could still take a trade. I'm going to do a 0 point. And before I take any trade, I have to ask myself, is this risk-seeking or risk-averse? This trade right now is risk-averse indeed, because I'm breaking out of a tiny zone, and the market has had time and space to climb up. And so now I have space towards the bottom, and in that case, this is risk-seeking. I'm going to take this trade down once this 5-minute candle closes. It's currently 11:31, so I'll come back to this in a few minutes. Let's go on GBP AUD. Just take a look at this. My bias on GBP AUD as of yesterday was bullish because of the high impact news that we did have on Nzdjpy, and also the previous day on GBP. It fueled the GBP AUD to go north. As of right now, it's looking kind of bearish. I will explain why in just a second. When we look at the 4-hour time frame, what do you see? You see a very big bear market, and there was a correction as of November of this year. So literally first of the month, the market started climbing up. Look how far it's came since the first of the month, over 200 pips. What's that indicating? Indicating that this is a potential rally to continue climbing for the rest of the next couple weeks, or this is going to be just liquidity being pumped to the upside, where we can now look for some sellers. And you can see that there's a trend. I drew a Fibonacci zone the other day, but I'll delete it and I'll redo it in just a second. So the Fibonacci zone that we're looking at right now is from swing high to swing low of this trend right here. Okay, it's not behaving itself. Just a second. My mouse is kind of off. Here we go. From here to here. So this is a trend that we're looking at right now to take some shorts out of. At the moment, it is currently being tested, and if we do see a break above that range, we could indeed see price skyrocket up another 80 pips, and that will be probably the move of the day right there. But until we see a break above that range, I can't really say that I'm looking for a bull market. If anything, it's the exhaustion of a bull market, and after an exhaustion, there may be a correction. So right now, if we can see sustainable price action above 1.832, then I do foresee price to continue to go on up. But if price does close below 1.832, which it already tapped it, so technically I could already enter my orders going into that direction, but that's where I would go. So take a look at the economic calendar. And this is yesterday's news from November 3rd. Just want to highlight any high impact events that came out that might have impacted the direction of bias of GA. And nothing. So going into today, I'm looking at there's OPEC meetings, and this is high impact. What that's indicating to me is that across all periods in the market, we should see some movement. And there's also GBP news at 5:30 p.m. high impact. So I don't know exactly what the GBP pairs has in store, but I do know that you don't trade manipulation, you trade the reaction towards it. So I will not be taking any trades at 5:30 p.m. my time, but I will definitely still be looking for potential setups, and then there's more GBP news later on. So let's get back into the chart and put that information in where it belongs. There's GBP high impact news coming up in several hours. We could foresee price definitely closing below here. And if that's my entry, my exit is going to remain the same. And I'm just going to take this trade as a swing all the way down. You got to see down towards 1.814. That will be my target for the next day or two if high impact news drives price down and triggers my entry. So this is actually going to be a risk-seeking entry, seeing that, yes, it's an exhaustion of that trend, but I'm not entering on a pullback. I'm entering on a closure down below. So this will be my entry right here. And my exit will simply be, I could put it above these highs right here, or I could put it above these highs. As you guys can see, 115 pips is kind of high, but with the high impact news, that's probably the earliest exit I can have due to the volatility that may happen. It may trigger this and it may come back into this range, or it may go up here first and then come back down. So that's why I don't really have a value area around here and why I'm discarding it. And I believe that if you are intraday trading anything smaller than a 30-minute time frame, you might get whipsawed. Let's take a look and see how it actually looks right now. Looks like price was going down, and it was a correction of an uptrend that failed, and price should have continued to the downside, but instead it started climbing up, and it triggered new entries for the buys, but we're uncertain right now. So let me just highlight the key areas. Uptrend, long term. Downtrend, medium term. Uptrend, short term. So you're either going to wait for the downtrend, medium term to be broken, or to be supported with a further closure below 1.8321. So that's where my sell stop is a closure below the 8.321. Now my stop loss, like I said, unfortunately has to be above the most recent area of supply. And I don't see that until above 1.82 or 1.8424. So 1.843 is probably going to be my stop loss for this trade. And I highly advise you guys to stay out of news high volatility trading days unless you are experienced enough to understand the effects of the volatility that could happen. And so I understand this, although this is wider than my average stop loss that I normally would take. This is what it is. And I'll leave room where I could enter better entries if it does go against me, take advantage of my drawdown. But that's the move of right now. And I don't have my stop. I don't have my take profit. So let me mark that up real quick. 1.816. Let's put it right there. All right. So I have take profits around 1.816, and that's going to be my profit target for that pair. Let's go back to gold and see how it's closed. Perfect. Beautiful. We have a closure below, and this is going to trigger my order for it should be risk seeking, but I'm going to do risk averse because it's kind of far enough. I'm going to do a 0.4. Let's do that. So gold, we have a 0.4 going down right now with a stop loss slightly above. There we go. And target one is going to be these lows. I do believe it's going to break those lows and continue on down. So we're just going to drag and drop an extension of the down wave from yesterday, and that's going to be our daily target. So expect to take it on down towards around 1751, and that's going to be the daily target. Just continue to track and monitor this pair. Let's just go take a couple steps back and see on the macro view. It is bearish until it's not, and there was a bearish Mariposa yesterday that dragged the sentiment even further down, and we're going to test those lows before going and testing another key level area. I'm going to mark up on the chart right now. So once these lows are broken, we're going to test these lows, and that's what my profit target is. If these lows are broken, then we're going to keep on just taking it down, continuing to take it down. So that would be my next area. So we have about 130 pips. So this is going to be my gold setup. And if it does go long up against me, I do suspect it on being stopped out slightly above. I do have a red line drawn a little higher than my stop loss, so I want to go back to that and highlight my Ys. Like I said, this is already an area of buy, of, how would I say, an area of supply that if it closes above here, it's going to create an area of demand. And of course, if it closes above here, then we're definitely going to see a move to the upside. So I wouldn't look for any buy entries until maybe around 1787. So this would be a buy entry right here. So this is actually risk seeking. So what I'm going to do is half the position size. So right around here, I'll actually do it above, just to be on the safe side. And then the stop loss for this is probably going to be about, I don't know, 75 pips, since it's risk seeking. 1780, that's probably going to be the earliest I can get out right now until the market matures and gives me further signal. And if I am going to take that on up, I'm taking it very far up. I'm taking it probably about 138 pips to 1803. That's going to be my move on gold. So follow up with you all. I'll post some signals in the Discord and just an update. It is still on its way up, so I will follow up with that. Now let's get into my other broker. I wanted to upload this video to IG, but it's at 15 minutes, so it might be a little too long for IG today, due to the fact that everyone and everything is kind of they don't really pay attention. People on Instagram tend to have a short attention span, so I just keep the long videos for YouTube. But let's take a look at anything else. I said I'm trading GJ, and there's a lot of red high impact GJ news or GBP news, so let's take a look at this next. This is Eurgbp. So I guess I'll go over Eurgbp first, seeing that it's already pulled up, and then I'll go into GBP-JPY. Eurgbp is currently bullish as of this week, as we can see. As of yesterday, there was a bearish drop to the downside, also sparking a potential new trend to the new bear trend. So if I'm going to look for Eurgbp sells, I would actually do it right now, because it's a wonderful time for a sell. Just definitely gonna update you all with a couple more confluences before I do press that button. And so right here on the 4-hour, we can see a solid rejection of 85.5. We did see a closer above, which indicates a long, but shortly after there was a failure of that closer above. So let me highlight one more area that I did not see in my original markup. Just for you all to, okay. So this is another key level area that if you are bearish, you would have to pass this area first before continuing on down. And from the looks of it, it's kind of in no man's land at the moment, although I would like to continue the bear move to the downside. Its long-term bias is bullish, so it is still pushing on up. And it's going to keep pushing on up until 0.845 is broken. That's what I wanted to highlight. Now I'm going to go into the 30-minute time frame and reconsider pushing that button, because I could see that it is going down. It's definitely confirming that it's going to drop. It's also confirming that any highs above 85.5 is going to indicate a bullish run. So at the moment, I'm currently going to monitor this pair and look for an upside buy target or buy stop. It's going to be a risk-seeking trade, and I'm going to be looking for a buy stop to continue on with the trend. At the moment, though, I wouldn't be too quick to go short. Any closure for me, any closure above 0.8045 will indicate a continuation of the bull run. That would be a safe area to then place a 30 pip stop loss below 0.846 and take the price on upwards from there for an extension of the day and see how far it goes. So that's Eurgbp. Seeing it is high impact news for all pairs today, I would recommend using wider than normal stops, but the most immediate news coming soon, which is GBP in the next several hours, I wouldn't really worry as long as you clear this high. Don't trail your stops today pretty much. And if you are going to trail your stops, just expect that if your stop does get hit, just close your trades for the day and walk away, because there might be a good reason for that stop to get hit. So Eurgbp, I'm not going to go long just yet. I'm going to wait, and I'll get back to that. Let's get into GBP-JPY. Just a minute. I actually want to look at Nzdjpy. Pardon me. It's not GBP-JPY, it's Nzdjpy. I want to diversify my portfolio as much as possible. And a lot of times when I trade GBP pairs, a lot of them mirror each other, and I want to diversify the outcomes as much as possible. Let's look for Nzdjpy. There it is. So we can see Yesterday, I actually closed out some profits on Nzdjpy. Check my previous posts and videos if you missed that. But we can see that Nzdjpy has been climbing up. Not really too much, but let's just see the reason why that has climbed up. So there was a confirmation of a downside move, and that's what we can see right here. So the confirmation of the downside move actually happened at the beginning of this month. But after every breakout, there's going to be a pullback to retest those highs. That's what price did as of yesterday. Price went up, retest those highs. Now we're seeing a clear rejection back to the downside. As of now, it's still rising. So until I can see a very obvious sell signal, I'm not going to take the short just yet. And I need to see the best opportunity present itself. So I'll be looking for a resistance slightly above. I marked a minor area at 81.789, and I marked a major area at 82.1. So we're going to look for these two areas to be broken before a continuation in either direction, and also looking below at 81.1. So now going into the 30-minute time frame, we can see the clear rejection and the move back towards the downside. Indication of a stop out or a reversal of this trend is going to be around 81.3. I do believe that price is on its way down there. And if we can see a closure below 81.3, then more than likely we're going to see the start of a new downtrend going into London session and the rest of the day. So this is probably the best time to look for shorts on Nzdjpy. This is counterintuitive to my trade yesterday because I did go long, but the markets don't always move in the direction that you want it to. So upon go long, I did have a projection that if price did continue to go up, we were going to see upside movement towards further resistances. And can't see it on the weekly, but when we go to the monthly, strange is only letting me go back to 2018, but this is definitely overextended since for the past 2 years. It's been overextended. So I do believe that it will continue to climb up, but in due time. And I do believe that it's going to have some time to retrace, especially last month's candle was very bullish. Last month we actually closed very high, about 450 pips north. So there's a lot of retracement that is due. That's the first thing we're going to look at. So as of this month, I would definitely like to look for bulls. As of the beginning of the month, though, you might want to look for some shorts. As of yesterday, it was high impact NZD news, which shifted the catalyst to the north side. And that's pretty much the distraction that's going to get all retail buyers to go long now, thinking it's going to continue on up. But now, professional seller, institutions, and everyone that is already in the know can look to reverse and take it further down. So I'm going to actually set my charts up right now so you guys can see. It's going to be a risk-seeking trade, so I'll do a 15 lot. Right below that low. And then my stop loss is going to be, I would put it right above the minor highs, but in fact, I'm just going to put it 100 pips away at 82.18. So this is going to be my stop loss placement for the upcoming trades of the day. And now you might wonder why such a wide stop. So let me remind everyone once again, it's because there's high impact news and it increases the volatility. So until after that news subsides, so maybe at some point tomorrow, I could look to scale into other trades and monitor my position that way. But as of right now, I'm just going to take one order and that's it. And I'm going to take that one order down. That's going to be my markup for the day. So how far do I want to take this down? Let's say probably around 170 pips, so 79.37. There we go. And don't get me wrong, I will look for entries in my direction if we get closer to the end of the day to lock in some profits. I definitely will do that. But as of right now, this is all I'm going to do for Nzdjpy. Just continue to monitor the pair, and I will follow up after the sessions close at the end of the day. Let's go back to Eurgbp, go over that one more time to see where we are at the moment. So, hasn't really done too much. It's kind of hesitant in that area, but I want to set an order up just to prepare for the next session. So we're going to take a look right now. As I said, it's definitely going up. But as of right now, it's retesting some regions. So we can see a break above this high once again, which would indicate it's a risk-seeking or risk-averse trade. Well, it's only 21 pips away. This would actually be risk-averse, or actually it's risk-seeking still. So I definitely would just keep the lot size at half of what I would normally do. So let's just do 0.15. We don't know. And then the stop loss for this is going to be, this one we can actually keep it pretty smooth, about 45 pips away at 0.846. And that would be the stop loss for that pair. Now, if price does break these lows and continue on down, that's even better, because then I could look for entries even farther up north. But as of right now, it is still going down. It's not worth the amount of pips to take the short unless I'm scalping. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. If it does go down and break these lows, has a close below those lows, then I can actually, one thing that I could do is I could trail my entry down to a lower point, and at that point I could definitely look to either turn the risk-seeking trade into a risk-averse depending on how far I trace it, or just leave it here and let the market react. But where will we take this to end this video? There's another area of confluence above at 0.855. That's the next area that I marked up. So 45 pips. Now it seems that it is a high volatility day. I do suspect it to possibly climb up farther and even hit this range right here. So 110 pips is my daily target today. 0.859 is the target. And that's it, guys. I have set everything up, and I definitely will be taking some profits off the table before around 0.854. But that's about it, everyone. I'll follow up with you all at the end of the day, and I hope you all just got some really great insight on this